According to the New South Wales Department of Health, approximately 1 in 5 Australians suffer from chronic pain. When we look at this further, we find that it is women who are more likely to have chronic pain issues, and that it is a condition that affects mostly those in middle age and older. And we find that the leading cause of chronic pain is injury. While this might sound a bit silly, chronic pain can present itself with no warning at all. I am a chronic pain survivor, and throughout this talk I will tell you a little bit about my experiences, give you an insight into the life of a person with chronic pain. But first we need to take a step back and we need to understand what pain actually is. Simply put, pain is the unpleasant sensation conveyed by sensory neurons from a trauma to the brain. It alerts us to a problem with the body, so it serves an important purpose. Falvo asserts that pain is universal, but goes on to show that pain is also highly subjective, which makes pain difficult to study and to quantify. One person's expression of pain, their perception, threshold, and tolerance of pain is different to the next person. Usually when we talk about pain, we talk in terms of acute pain or chronic pain. Acute pain has a rapid onset by a generally identifiable cause and it's short in duration. However, what happens when pain has outlived its purpose? Once the injury is healed? Well, that's what we call chronic pain. It persists beyond the injury and it causes problems well beyond the biological and psychological. According to the Disability Services Australia website, chronic pain is not considered a disability in and of itself. However, the physical and psychological manifestations of chronic pain can be just as debilitating as almost any physical disability. Chronic pain is insidious in that it masks its true nature. From my own experience of chronic pain, the pain infiltrates your everyday life and it affects you in totally unexpected and seemingly unrelated ways. Pain Australia identifies quite succinctly that sufferers of chronic pain report interference with daily activities including sleep, sex, work, exercise, and routine self-care, which can give a negative effect on personal relationships, social interactions, and lifestyle. Not only that, but it can also become a chronic pain syndrome, which is basically pain without a physiological cause. No one can give a definitive reason for this, and it is a frustration for both patient and doctor, as there's no way to pinpoint the actual source of the problem. Investigations tend to be fruitless, and pain management is the only way forward. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare also shows that there's a significant correlation between musculoskeletal conditions and mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety, which heighten the disability and distress of the patient. All the chronic pain services websites in Australia show that mental health plays a huge role in the experience of chronic pain. They explain it by showing that pain intensity is linked to how disabled and how depressed you are. Having experienced this myself, I can attest to how silly the explanation sounded to me at the time, but also that I was in pain the most when I felt out of control and isolated in my life. Looking back, and we're talking about 10 years ago, I can now see what the therapists and the doctors were trying to achieve. However, at the time, they seemed to miss the mark when it came to actually educating me about this. So in effect, things were being done to me rather than with me. And in Falvo, she shows us that the effective pain management actually involves the patient in the treatment, and the goal is to improve the patient's quality of life as well as pain reduction. The pain itself is only part of the problem. From a vocational aspect, chronic pain affects your ability to move and to perform your workplace duties. Whether you have an active or a sedentary job, the effects will be felt. For example, there might be pain if you stand too long, if you sit too long, if you're using a keyboard, if you're bending or lifting, the list goes on. And there are some gadgetry interventions to help, but there are times when these won't help and your economic future is in doubt. And this is where I found myself. My experience in an office environment and my injury, which was RSI in the wrists and forearms, which led to chronic pain, meant that I was unable to fulfil my duties and I was subsequently fired. Chronic pain and the mental health issues that can come with it can also be detrimental to anyone in a learning environment. Looking at the physical aspects of chronic pain and then adding the stress of a deadline-driven setting can exacerbate pain profusely. Having experienced this as well, I can say with some authority that the disability units on most university and school campuses are very well equipped to handle the issues that come from chronic pain. While one still has the stress of completing the work, by working with the disability unit, who in turn work with the teaching staff, completing your education with chronic pain becomes much easier, with considerations being made and assistance being given when needed. I cannot stress the importance of how good it feels when you're supported to achieve your educational goals. The hardest aspect to overcome with any chronic pain, in my opinion, is the psychosocial aspect. So many things are happening at once, and it feels like it's difficult to maintain your identity. The impact of chronic pain changes your whole outlook on life. And because no one can see your chronic pain, there's a lot of misunderstanding about it. It's an invisible illness, and that's a term coined for conditions which are beyond the perception of others. It feels like you spend much of your time defending and trying to convince therapists and even friends and family that there's a problem. This is a constant battle, and it's quite common, and it has a negative effect on your self-esteem, your relationships, and it can make you feel very isolated. So you can see how this can make one feel victimised and lead to that downward spiral, psychologically speaking. Falvo exemplifies interventions as either medical and non-medical, but I also add devices to their own category, as there is an entire industry that's grown around assistive devices and technology. For example, you've got aids for everyday tasks, so eating utensils, dressing aids, personal hygiene aids, pencil holders. You've got seating positional aids that provide body support. You've got computer access aids, so light pointers, modified keyboards, and voice-to-text software. You've also got environmental control systems to help you with various appliances around the home and office. Now, this list is by no means exhaustive, but it gives you an idea of the kinds of gadgetry that are available, no matter how much or how little help you need. Falvo and many of the chronic pain websites suggest that medication is used to treat pain. However, medications such as analgesics and NSAIDs have very little effect on chronic pain, and prescription medications will likely be given. Corticosteroids and cortisone injections are a short-term solution, but they are contraindicated for long-term use, as they do more physiological damage to the body compared to that of the chronic pain itself. Anticonvulsants and antidepressants are used more frequently to assist pain management. Now, in my own experience, I was very shocked at being prescribed an antidepressant. I wasn't depressed, but I was told that the medication would change the way my brain perceives the pain. Now, I'm not sure that this is true, but 10 years after the fact, I'm relatively pain-free most days. I manage myself with analgesic medication, a TENS machine, and some heat. Now, I also have to manage my tasks and stress levels to ensure that I don't inadvertently set things off again. The other one is opioid analgesics. Now, again, these are a short-term solution. The inherent risk with the opioids is addiction and tolerance, and your ability to manage any task is compromised when you take these medications. Other more invasive options include acupuncture, nerve blocks, and neurosurgical procedures. Chronic pain websites such as Chronic Pain Australia and Pain Australia show us that the non-medical intervention is the preferred plan to managing pain over the long term. They suggest that psychological intervention, relaxation, and meditation exercises provide both mental support and relief to pain. This approach is designed to create positive emotional experience to reduce the pain. Examples of other non-medical and non-invasive techniques include physiotherapy and exercise, the use of a transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation machine, a TENS machine, which is my personal favourite, hypnosis. Now, this is quite subjective, as you cannot be hypnotised without your consent, so it may not be effective for everybody. You've got biofeedback, and the idea of that is to control your involuntary responses to reduce pain levels. And diet. Now, Chronic Pain Australia's Dr. Coralie Wales suggests that the modern Western diet could be contributing to the inflammatory burden of our bodies, which results in the experience of chronic pain. She suggests that to reduce the intake of inflammation-enhancing foods will assist in managing the chronic pain. This is a relatively new aspect and may require more study before it can be spruiked as a cure, but in conjunction with other interventions, it's something that wouldn't cause any further injury or any further pain, so there may be some benefit to that. These therapies can be used as part of a comprehensive pain management plan or singularly depending on the individual. Now, I hope this talk has given you an interesting insight into the world of chronic pain. May you never have to endure it, and may you be ever understanding to those who do. Thank you very much.